So recording has been started, and just recently I have created the repository, but this is a private one. Let me make it public so you can access anytime. So if I'm not audible properly, please let me know. Change the repository visibility, make public. Hello? Hello? Someone wants to speak? I'm not getting your voice properly. Hello? Who is speaking? Hello? Fine. So if you can see, Angular Weekend 12th September 2020. This is your repository name. I'll give you this link, right? So you can get whatever code I'm going to type, you can get all that codes over here. Getting that? You can get all that codes over here. Remember this all the time. Or you can bookmark this repository so you can get access easily. I'm going to upload all the recordings, right? And I'm going to share link with you. So I have created repository. Now let me clone it. How do you clone the repository? Just go to the repository, and this link you need to have. You can have this link, and here let me delete this and open in terminal. Here you can say git clone and paste the link. You are cloning the repository. Can you see my screen properly? Hello? 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 I hope you see my screen properly. Now let me open the folder. And here you can say 12th September 2020. This folder we have recently updated. This folder we have recently cloned. If you can see, this is that folder. And let me create a simple file. You can say index.html. Index.what? HTML. And here HTML5. So this is the thing I'm getting. Now you might be not familiar, or you might be familiar with the code editor I'm using. This code editor is nothing but VS Code. What's that? It is a VS Code. It is nothing but the VS Code. If you can see this code editor I am using for Angular, for JavaScript, and for everything, right? You can use this code editor, which is nothing but VS Code. This is open source code editor, and this is a free of cost. That's why we use that. Okay. Now in the today's session, what I want to show you is what is actually a need of Angular, right? What is Angular we'll discuss a little bit later on, but we will discuss what is the need of Angular. Why do you need Angular, right? That part we are going to discuss today. So whenever you work with the HTML CSS3 Bootstrap is a design framework. Let's keep it aside. There is no concern of the Bootstrap right now, right? But HTML CSS3 and the JavaScript are important one. Okay, that is important. Now there is something called as DOM. How many of you are knowing what do you mean by DOM? Can you tell me what is DOM? DOM. Yes. You can tell me what is DOM. Anyone? What do you mean by DOM? Can you tell me? Hello? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by DOM? Yes? Nothing? Well, fine. So let me talk about something about DOM. So when you say DOM, right? Now consider that you want to add the code dynamically. For that, what I want to do, let me start this first in the auto running mode. Remember that there is one plugin called as browser sync. What is that? Browser sync is one of the plugin I have downloaded. Browser sync. So what it does, it's a node package npm install /g browser sync. Now see what it does. Let me show you. Can you see one of the command is there? Browser sync start -- server. In which files? In the current directory. That's why I have written what? Dot. Browser sync is that thing. Whenever you change in your HTML or your JS or the CSS, automatically that is going to be shipped to the browser. That is browser sync. Means your code is going to be synced with the browser. That is what browser sync is. And why I'm going to use this utility? Just to show you. Now see, that has been started. Can you see? Local is started on the 3000. So I will go here. Automatically also it opens the browser. Yeah, Mozilla, it is opening automatically. See, this is your HTML. Remember that. Can you see document is a title of the page? If you go document is a title of the page, let me change that. This is Angular demo. Just save it. Angular what? Demo. And if you see here, can you see Angular demo is a name of the page. So remember which code editor I have used. So let me have a div, not this. For this demo or for the understanding of the DOM, not demo. There is no one for demo. Fine. So for understanding of the DOM, I am using, what is the OL tag? Can you tell me please? What is the OL tag? Hello?
Ordered list.
Ordered list. What it does? What is the OL tag?
Add
Yes, anyone? What is the OL tag? So let me show you something. If you remember that HTML, basics of the HTML are very important, and one of the great site for that, Mozilla HTML5 or HTML reference. So developer.mozilla.org is a fantastic site where you can get explanation about each and every element, where you can get what you can say, if you want to get explanation of the elements. So this is a great site. I always refer this thing. So I'm giving link for you. I'm giving what? link for you. You just go here and let me paste it. Okay, you can see all these things. Now 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 we are discussing what? OL tag. It is a ordered list. What do you mean by ordered list? You will get 1 2 3 4 5 something like that, and here I can have li is nothing but what? List item. So which code editor we are using? Code editor, we are using code editor as VS Code. Okay, one thing. Second thing, we have understood the plugin called as browser sync. Browser sync. Which plugin we have understood is nothing but this browser sync, or say live reload, and here I can say browser BROWSER sync SYNC. Okay, this thing. Now if you go Angular demo, automatically two things will come over here. See now, code editor, VS Code, live reload, browser sync. Are you getting that? These two plugins we have used, or this we have understood, this we have understood. Do you have any query on this? If you have any query, please ask me. Hello? Hello? Any question you have? So this is Firefox automatically opened by browser sync plugin, and here you can get the logs of browser sync plugin. Fine. Now what we are understanding is the DOM. We are understanding what? DOM. So let me write that for you here. So what we are understanding, or concept we are understanding today, is DOM, which is nothing but document object model. What's that? What do you mean by DOM? It is document object model. Remember that. So code editor, VS Code, live reload. Which plugin we have understood is a browser sync. So here is that plugin. The command is browser -sync start -server -files, and you have passed it dot. On the Windows that might be different, but on the Linux, if you want to have live reload, browser sync is a sorry, not on the Linux, but on the all operating system, if you want to have the live reload plugin, browser sync is fantastic one. I am using this many years, right? So code editor, VS Code, live reload, browser sync, and today we are understanding the concept of DOM, right? So this concept will teach you, right? This concept will teach you what you can say. This concept will teach you the foundations of the Angular, right? Why you are learning DOM? Because you need to understand what is what, why, and how Angular works. Here semicolon is needed. So what, why, and how Angular is working, functioning, whatever. So once you understand the DOM, the understanding of the Angular is easy. But make sure that you know what do you mean by DOM exactly. That is much needed. So code editor, this thing we have studied. Now see, now this is your index.html we have. And in the index.html, we have written something. Now, what do you mean by DOM? So, how do you write script? I want to evolve JavaScript over here, or I want to add JS over here. So, what I can do, let me create a folder and I can say day one. Okay, and under the day one, let me move this, and under the day one only, app.js would be the file I would be having. Just save it. Here you can say script tag script src is equals to app.js. It's a multi-line tag. Now my question is that why I have added the script tag at the bottom? Why I have added the script tag at the bottom? Can you please tell me why I have added script tag at the bottom? Anyone can tell me this? Hello, Prathamesh, Vrunda, Vaibhav Katkar. Hello, Ajit. Why script tag needs to be added at the end of your body? Anyone can answer this? Hello? Hello? Okay. Now see, the reason behind that is if your script is too much heavy, like 1 MB, 2 MB, there are sometimes Angular script, whenever Angular generates the script, that scripts are of 1 MB or 2 MB in a size. So at that time, if you write this over here, HTML gets loaded line by line. HTML gets loaded line by line. First this line, then this line, then this line. So here, if it is 1 MB, it will keep loading and further stuff is not going to load in your browser. And the progress bar is spinning and spinning. If you want to avoid that, right, it is good habit that you should write scripts at the end. Your scripts at the end, and all the scripts. First, all the vendor related scripts. Vendor means if you have bootstrap js, if you have jquery and other, if you have movement js and many other scripts that will getting loaded here, that will be getting loaded over here, and then script tag is loaded over here. Nikhil, hello, hello, Nikhil, hello. Okay. Okay. So code editor and other things we have loaded. Then we are looking for what you can say DOM. What do you mean by DOM? So I'll write console dot log, and here, right, I'll print the object that is nothing but the document. Now, if you go to the documentation theory, right, browser objects, HTML5, browser objects. Okay. Now see, there are many browser objects. One is window, Likewise, window, there is a location object. Window, console, or not a console, but window is one of the, what you can say, window, document, location, right, are the browser objects. Now see, whenever browser gets loaded, I'll run this code. I'll go here and just open inspector and the console. Can you see hashtag document? If I hover over the cursor on the document, can you see it is giving me full page? If you see, it is giving me what? Full page. If you can see this, means this object is pointing to the full page. Now what do you mean by this object? Whenever browser interprets, I'm deliberately saying interprets your code line by line, right? Or there are multiple ways of interpreting the code. Whenever browser interprets, it creates one object that will point to your page, and that object is nothing but what? This document. If you see, I'll just zoom it so you can see very clearly. Now if I expand this object, can you see it is referring to all that HTML that is getting loaded in the browser. It is pointing to all that HTML that is getting loaded. Now if you go to the body tag, in a body tag, forget about this script. This script is added by the browser sync plugin, right, to auto reload it. Then you can go here, then OL is there. Can you see each and every LI it is pointing? See this. So browser internally creates, or browser interprets, and it creates one JavaScript object. That object is nothing but what? Document. And that object you have accessed for printing purpose right now. Now JS says that if you want to access any of the element of your HTML page, what I'm saying, if you want to access any of the element of your, what you can say, HTML page, you can get access, or you can get use of document object. So what you can do, document dot, can you see location is also there, get element by ID. Now what you can do, each and every element in your HTML can have ID. So I can say this page division, I can say ID is equals to div or dv, I can say. Okay, I can say what? dv. Everything. To this OL also you can give ID. To li also you can give ID. To this li you can give ID. Anywhere you can give what? Proper ID. And that ID is nothing but, what you can say, is used to access that. Now see, in the quotes I can say dv. Now see, let me clean it. Document dot get element by ID. Just clean it and refresh it. So document is printing, or document is pointing to complete HTML over here. And document says that if you want to get a particular ID, you can say document dot get element by ID dv, and let's try to print it. Remember that this is also JavaScript interpreter that you are dealing with. Console.log and this thing. Can you see? If I hit the enter, it is giving me that particular page division. So this document, let me refresh it, or here only I can print console.log, and here you can say document. Console.log what? Document. Remember that this is a JavaScript interpreter of the browser. You can write JS, any JS you want to write over here. So head tag is there and body tag is there, everything is there. And if you want to get a particular, if you want to get the particular object, if you want to get a particular element of your HTML, then you can give some ID to that element, div id dv, div id what? dv, and by means of this document object, you can print what you can say, anything you wanna print, or by means of the document object you can get anything. Document dot get element by id, get element by tag. There are many methods. Let me show you. Document dot get element by id, get element by class name, get element by name, get element by namespace, and many things are there, right? But we are using this, and here I can say dv. So you can assign that a let dv a variable name. Well, this variable name can be anything, right? Like this. But make sure you will have some sense while giving the variable names. Console.log and dv. Now see, line number 4 will print. Can you see line number 4, app.js, line number 4 here, app.js, line number 4, app.js1 is the document object, and this particular div. So this is the foundation of the DOM. What is that? This is the foundation of the DOM. Well, you might have not tried this also. Console.log console. Console is also one object which will give you access to the console of the browser or underlying system. Can you see here? What's the line number? Remember the line number? It's line number 6. Line number 6, console.log console. Sorry. Now if you open it, app.js, line number 6, console.log console. Can you see? These are the different functions. F stands for function. All these are functions, right? See this. And here you can say console.log, you use this thing, arguments, exception, collion, many things are there. But we generally use console.log and we pass text over here. But present concern is that what do you mean by DOM? So this is DOM, right? Document object model. So whenever your page gets rendered, remember that at that time, whenever your page gets rendered in the browser, at that time browser creates one object of the particular page, and that object is called as what? Document. And it creates the object by means of document, this. Now if you want to manipulate the DOM, right, if you want to manipulate the DOM, like you need to get a particular element from this DOM. So I know that this is HTML, and this HTML I have given one ID dv. I have given what? One ID dv, right? So to this div there is an ID called as dv, and I want to access this element by ID. So here you can say document.get element by ID dv, right? So it will point to this only element if you want to access the particular list item. So ID, and you can say code editor CE, and if you want to access that, let CE is equals to document dot get element by ID CE, and presently let's try to print it only. We'll make an operation later on. CE. Okay, let us see here what happens. Can you see CE line number what? 7. This is line number 7, and this is line number 7. We are printing line number 7, and in the console also we are getting line number 7. Are you getting that? Now first let me push this much code and ask me the queries if you have any. DOM understanding of DOM. I am pushing the code. Push. Okay, all, please go to the please go to the repository that I have shared, this one, and just refresh it now. Can you see day 1 is there, day 1 is there, and under the day 1 you will get app.js and the HTML. Just go through the link, just go through this link and check the code on your browser. Okay, I'll be back in a moment. In a 2 minutes we'll start next thing. So let and other things are coming from ES6, JavaScript 6, right? So let is for the lexical scoping. I'm going to come to that point, but not right now. I do note your question, right? And I'll explain you. I'm going to explain anyways what do you mean by ES6, but little bit later on. But for now, you can replace it with where. That's not an issue, right? But you can consider that for now. I'm going to explain it later on. What do you mean by let? What do you mean by lexical scoping and other thing? But you can understand that let is an advanced version of where, a little bit advanced version of where. You can understand that right now, right? But I'm going to explain you what is the features of ES6. Right now, remember that let is one of the feature of the ES6 which gives you the scoping. We'll discuss that later on. Okay, today focus on the DOM only. Now what I want to do, this is our simple page we have, right? This is our simple page we have, and what I want to do, I want to iterate the for loop. Likewise, I have written over here in a static way. Likewise, I have written this here in a static way. But there would be an array. There would be an array. I can say let items is equals to, and here I'll write items, say, or mobiles, you can say, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, Windows, etc. Right? And these need to be printed, or these need to be printed as list items. Are you getting that? These need to be printed as list items. I'll create another page division. Well, before that, remember that I have installed multiple plugins. When you download the VS Code, you can add these plugins. HTML5, just search. Can you see? There are many plugins related to the HTML5. Can you see? I have installed the HTML snippet plugin. Related to the CSS also, I have installed something. Yeah, here CSS formatter, I have installed this plugin. Right, so make sure that you will install some plugins, and that's why editor will show you some IntelliSense, like I'm typing something like that, and many more things. This is coming from the editor at the core, but there are many things, like if you want to create the Jumbotron in the Bootstrap, BS, can you see? It creates everything automatically like this. That is coming from the plugin, remember that. Okay, but let me create the page division, and into that page division I will just write OL, ordered list, and ID to the OL, and ID to the OL would be, see now, ID to the OL would be mobiles, or say MOB. This would be the ID. Hello. So let's make it interactive. Give me the feedback if you are getting the things. Right, please share the feedback. Please give me some feedback if you are getting my point or not. Let's make it two-way, full duplex communication from your side also and from my side also. Let's not make it monotonous. Okay.
We, we cannot access variables outside the function if we use let keyword.
What did you say?
We cannot access variable outside the function if we declare the let keyword.
We'll see that. About let we will see. Right, about let we will see later on. That is not the point of discussion today. Right,
Mhm.
today we are just discussing what do you mean by DOM. Remember that this is a foundational and it will lead to the Y angular. I'm going to drive the session in that way where we will understand the DOM first and how it will create need of angular, that we will see. Okay, let and other things are the next topics that anyhow we are going to see, but not right now. So let mobiles is equals to this array, and this I want to put inside this OL. Are you getting my concern? What exactly we are trying to do here? So here presently we have written statically. We have written it static way, that li this thing. Right. But JavaScript says that, JS says that I have given you DOM object. I have given you DOM object. Right. And by means of DOM object, you can access particular element. That is nothing but this element. And if you get this element, you are getting the elements means you can create elements also. See how. Right. First, we need to have a for loop, mobiles. Let's say for let I is equals to 0, I is less than mobiles dot length and I plus plus, and I what plus plus. Okay, now see, every element of this array is nothing but one list item. Likewise this, look at this, every element is nothing but one list item, list item, list item, list item. Means if you have 10 elements inside your array, 10 times list item would be getting created. Let here you can say li, right? Let what? Li. Likewise document is giving you access for getting the element. You can create element also, create element, and name of the element would be what? Li. See this. So this name can be anything, that is not an issue. This name can be what? Anything, right? But just for understanding purpose, I am making it li. So document dot create element li. So here I have created the element. Now let's have this ol, this ol. We have created already ol, and into that ol, right, we have provided the id, means we can get that. Let ol mob is equals to document dot get element by id, and here I can say mob, right? What's the id of that? mob. You remember that here you got that element. Now what I want to do here, every iteration is creating new element called as li, is creating new element called as li. Now here you can see li dot text content, and here I can say this array of I, mobiles of I, right? And let's print the console.log li. This li we are printing. Let us see what it shows. Can you see? It's creating li Android, li iOS, li BB, li Windows. So these are the logs from this line. This line is printing that logs. So you created a element called as li, and to that element you have assigned some text of the mobile app. Okay, now what you need to do, this li needs to be added into this container. So see, ol mob dot append child, and then you can add what, li. See now, can you see here, automatically it has been added. Your HTML is having empty ol ordered list, and the script which is pointing to document object has added this content. Now see, now you can add Windows and palm top, then Samsung, and many other. Can you see, automatically things are getting added. You are not changing a single line of what you can say your this thing. These LIs are getting generated automatically by means of this for loop, and this thing is called as DOM manipulation. What is this called as? DOM manipulation. See this. If you go inspect it, if you go and inspect it to the console, can you see the document has been printed. Under the document there is a body. Under the body there is a ol mob, and can you see these LIs are getting generated automatically. Are you getting that? Hello? Any question? So HTML is a static by its nature. Remember that. HTML is static by its nature. You cannot add what you can say. You cannot write a for loop inside HTML. There is a limitation of the HTML, and so that you need to get the help of document object. You need to get help of what? Document object. So this document object will give you access to complete HTML. So here you make a trick that here you have got the mob and you have iterated over the for, then let li is equals to document dot create element li dot text content is equals to mobile of I, and ol mob dot append child is generating this thing. Getting that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Any question? Anyone is having question, please reply. I'll push the code. Just go through the code in 2 minutes. Here you can say DOM. I'm just focusing on the DOM for the day. DOM and manipulation of DOM.
We can remove all. We can remove all two elements, no?
Yeah. You can update the content, you can apply the styles, you can do many things. I'm pushing the code. Just go through the repository. Okay. Just go through the code in the moment and let me know if you have any queries. Well, you can do many things related to the, what you can say, by means of DOM manipulation, like this li dot style dot border is equals to 1px solid and the red. One thing you might have observed, I haven't used semicolons anywhere. There is also reason for that. We'll discuss that later on. But now you can go, can you see? Borders are getting added to this thing. Means even styles you have applied from here. DOM manipulation, you can not only create and delete elements, right? But you can apply the styles, apply the classes, and you can do many other things. Are you getting that? Hello? Something like that, li.style.border. Now, problem is that if you can see the problem, here what is important, this data is important, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, Windows, Palm Top, and that needs to be shown in this OL. That is very important thing. And to do all that thing, we have written the code almost of 10 lines. We have written the code almost of what? 10 lines. But I need something that this is the mobiles. Right, let me comment this much line. This is the mobiles, and straight away I want to assign this mobiles to this OL. That's it. I want to do only this thing. Are you getting that? I don't want to write this much lines of code. Now, what is problem in writing this much lines of code? Remember that you are doing DOM manipulation over here. You are making what? DOM manipulation. Means what? Your focus is on getting the element, then creating the element, then assigning the text, then appending the text. Well, this is not the thing that you should do. Are you getting that? You should do something related to the business logic, and all these things need to be taken care by underlying framework. We need a framework for doing all these things, means getting it, then assigning the data and something like that. And that feature is nothing but what we call that feature as data binding. What we call it as data binding, binding the variables to the elements, and vice versa, and data of the element can be bound to the variables, where from the script side to the HTML side, from the HTML side to the script side, there should be the data flow. That thing is called as data binding. Well, if you go here, AngularJS, I am talking about AngularJS, remember that. And they have given the fundamentals. If you go to the developer guide, right, and introduction, what is AngularJS? They have discussed all that things over here. See, AngularJS and the Angular are completely different frameworks. If you go here, GitHub Angular, right, if you go to the Angular, and if you click on the Angular here, can you see this Angular has a separate code repository and this Angular has a separate code repository. You remember that Angular and the Angular JS are different projects for the Google, and these are the different, what you can say, frameworks altogether. This is something different and this is something different. But why Angular? Reason, or why React, why Angular, why Polymer? Reason is same, right? And that reason they have discussed over here. Now if you see what is AngularJS, AngularJS is a structural framework for dynamic web apps. It lets you use HTML as your templating language. This HTML would be as the templating language, right? Same, whatever HTML tags used so far, this would be the templating language. HTML would be the templating language. There are many templating languages like Jade is there, Pug is there, and many other things are there, right? But here, templating engine and templating language, we are going as a normal HTML, and lets you to use, or lets you to extend the HTML syntax to express your application components clearly and succinctly. What they are saying, in the HTML you cannot write for loop. Can you write for loop over here? So something like that, you are going to write same for loop whatever you have written here. I want to copy this for loop from here and paste it here, and it should automatically give me the elements, right? This is not happens in the HTML. And for that you need a framework, right? You need a framework. See, AngularJS is what HTML would have been had it been designed for the application. HTML is a great for the declarative languages, for static documents. It does not contain much in the way of creating the application, whatever they want to say. But they are saying that whenever you use Angular, Angular gives you these many things like data binding, as in two curly braces, and you can write the code inside two curly braces. Then the DOM control structures, remember that DOM control structures for repeating, showing, hiding the DOM fragments. Supports for the forms and the validations, attaching the new behavior of the DOM elements such as DOM event handling, and grouping of the HTML into the reusable components. This is very, very important. Last point. Well, all are important, but next generation web would be focusing on this thing. Let me show you what I want to say. Just go to the Angular, and I'm inspecting this 16 hours ago. I'm inspecting what? This 16 hours ago. Can you see? This 16 hours ago is nothing but something time ago. Is it HTML element? Can you see time ago? Is it HTML element? Time hyphen ago, standard HTML element. Have you used this before? Hello? Hello?
No, sir.
This is not a standard HTML element, right? This has been written by the Git team. And this thing is nothing but what? The web components. If you go web components in the Mozilla, this is altogether a different term. And whatever new frameworks you hear about, that is a Polymer JS, Angular 2 and beyond, or Angular typically 10 presently, then React JS, right, are the frameworks who supports the web component. Now what is a web component? Is a suite of different technologies allowing you to create reusable custom elements. Remember that, custom elements with their functionality encapsulated away from the rest of your code, and utilize them in your web apps. What they want to say is that time ago, you are going to just import the time ago in your HTML and you are going to use it. That's it. So you are not going to import separate CSS, you are not going to import separate JS and many other things. In the HTML, straight away you will import the time ago element. You will import the element and use it straight away. right? That's what the foundation of the web component is. Well, it is very deep concept. I have just given you this much part, and what you can say, explanation by using this. This is one thing. If you go to the angular.io official website of Angular 10 presently, right, just inspect it, and the elements, just go to the element. What is the AIO doc viewer, AIO mode banner? These are not HTML elements, right? Or even mat side nav, mat side nav content, this is not HTML. Mat side nav is not HTML element. Mat side nav container, not an HTML element. Mat toolbar, can you see, as I am selecting, proper things are getting selected, right? AIO shell, then mat toolbar. Are you getting that? So these are the custom HTML elements. So this website is completely built on the top of Angular, right? Completely built on the top of Angular 10. Can you see? ng version is Angular 10. So website is upgraded to the Angular 10 right now. Then mat toolbar are the Angular custom components or the custom elements that Angular team has created. Remember that. And this is the future, because in one project you have created data table, and in another project you want to use same data table. In that case, you don't need to copy the component code, then HTML, then CSS separately. You just need to import particular element and use as it is. That's the intention is. And that's what they are saying. When you talk about Angular, you are talking about data binding, DOM control structures, right? For repeating means for loop, showing and hiding the DOM fragments, support for the forms and the form validation, attaching new behavior to the DOM element such as DOM event handling. They are talking about event data binding over here, right? And grouping them of HTML into reusable components means they are talking about the web components. Your framework should give you all these facilities, right? Now what Angular says, if you go beyond, just you read it when you get time. Angular, I'm not saying JS, because altogether Angular and other frameworks, Angular frees you from following pains. First is registering the callbacks, then manipulating the HTML DOM programmatically. Whatever you have done here, right, that should be avoided, and your focus should be on the data binding. So you can do this thing by means of data binding and the directives in 1 or 2 lines, and that's it. Just 2 lines of code will do all this stuff in the Angular, right? Then marshalling data to and from UI means getting the data from the HTML, assigning to the variables of JS, or data from the JS and assigning to the markup. That's what they are talking about here. Writing a tons of initialization code just to get started, means on which browser you need to run the code, on the mobile how it will look. For the mobile you need to add separate scripts, for the tablet you need to add separate scripts, right? And many other things you need to add, many other facilities. Angular is freeing you from all these things. Remember that. We are talking about Angular 10 framework, right? This is the framework that we are talking about, but the foundations are same. First in the market, AngularJS came, right? In the Angular market, AngularJS came, right? And it got a tremendous popularity. Then Angular team decides that let's improve it for the component based structure, and then they shifted to the Angular, what you can say, 2 and above, right? Which is nothing but this thing, and this is a widely popular. And remember that nowadays Angular 10 is in the market. It is a fantastic framework that you should use for your next project. Okay, so I had decided to deliver this much content for the today. Tomorrow I am going to talk something about, or we are going to study something about TypeScript. We'll discuss it tomorrow. And the ES6, what is that? That we will see tomorrow. But I'm going to start this thing for tomorrow. Well, till then, right, a little bit homework. I'll write homework over here. Day 1, right? You need to create a table. You need to create a dynamic table, right? Table with dynamic rows, right? There would be columns, name, price, quantity, and total. So total is nothing but what? Price into quantity. That is nothing but the total is. That you need to do in the table by means of this code. You need to add a table. So you can add a table tag over here, right? And remember that your tr and td, something like that. And remember that you need to add these trs dynamically. Your trs need to be added what? Dynamically. So here you can give some id is equals to table, like that. And here you need to add that table dynamically. Any questions you have? Hello? Hello?
Hello sir, columns also needs in dynamic.
What's that? Say that no, columns are static.
Column.
Rows are dynamic.
Okay.
Columns are static, rows are dynamic. Okay? Hello? Hello? So it's raining here, right? It's raining here. So we'll meet tomorrow, okay? At 12:00 sharp. Fine?
Okay sir.
Yeah, I'm disconnecting the call.